Good evening and welcome to another edition of Kim's Corner. I'm Kim Brown, your host, and today I have with me Mr. William Elmore, and it's been a while. You know, we always do, I always try to do a segment with him, and I want to thank Mr. Elmore because he's been a really, really great sponsor for Kim's Corner. He's helped Kim's Corner out a lot, so we're going to give him a round of applause. I have to put some applause, and we're at his home again. So we're here at the home. He opened up his home so we can come and talk because we haven't spoken in a while. So you should have a lot of things to tell me. You know, he's been a great advocate for the elderly and the disabled. So what's been going on lately?
Well, there's a number of things that I can say positively. I've gotten a lot of feedback on the fact that the Newark Library has a ramp on it. And I tell people it's been up there about 2 years now. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, the only reason why I didn't really get out to the media and everything is because the mayor didn't show up. And had he appeared, since it's a historical event, the library is over 100 years old. Mm-hmm. And we had to speak for the Historical Society and everyone else in order to get the funds from the federal government to fix it that way. I think it was $1.4 million. Mm. And he didn't show up, basically. I tried to reach out to his people back then, and they never got back to me. But it's here and there. It's there now, and the people have it, so they can utilize it. But unfortunately, if we can get the word out that the library is handicap accessible, any and everybody that lives in Newark and the surrounding towns will probably want to come here.
Yeah, and it is so weird that it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So you did a lot of advocating to
yes, ma'am.
Get that done. Because I remember you would come down to the city council meetings and you would talk about that.
Oh, yeah. A lot. And then eventually it happened because the library is a city-owned property. Mm-hmm. So being that it's city-owned, that they need to take care of their property. And if they don't, then, you know, they'd be subject to the same laws and everything else that the city has to abide to by the county and the state. Mm-hmm. I think it would become too overwhelming if they ignored it. Okay. Yeah. But it's calling it what your hand can stand. I don't know what's going on with Cory Booker, but I don't want to get into that aspect of it. My primary goal is to make sure that the disabled and the elderly get recognized and treated the way that they are supposed to be treated at this point in their lives. They're given so much during the course of their life and careers to come back to a place that's not conducive for their quote quality of life that everybody uses so frivolously. You know, but they haven't really met their end yet.
Is the museum, is it handicap accessible?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it
Was it always?
No. But they've made the necessary changes so that now it's accessible. And I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. There's a few parts that we can't go into, but I'm sure that people will be able to help us get around, you know, lift us up a couple steps to go to various parts of the museum. Oh,
one more question, update, because I know you have some other things you want to talk about, but what's going on with the supermarket? Any new advances, anything?
You still got to park on one end, and I don't know if you still have any clips where we had to go to the other end, you know, it's over 200 feet to get in. So once we get our groceries, we have to figure out a way to come all the way back down to put them in my van.
So that situation hasn't been resolved yet. No, so it's still same old situation.
I wish that we could do a segment down there so you can see how terrible it is for the people to have to leave their groceries in.
Well, that whole thing is a mess now because now they have that island that they put in the middle over there, the senior citizens building across the street. Yeah. You can't get across the street. Emergency vehicles can't get by because of the way they did the lanes.
Right.
They put bike lanes like we don't do like bikes like they do in New York City. They got bike lanes. I don't know what rocket scientists, and I said that before, thought of that, but
have you ever seen anybody in a bicycle out there?
No, I don't see nobody in bikes riding around there.
So what survey occurred to determine that they needed a bike lane up there on that street? You know how many blocks that street goes, right?
Yeah.
and how many islands and everything.
And yeah, and then it's so small because that's a way, that's a thoroughfare in and out of Newark. You know, because it takes you to 78. So, I mean, I don't know what rocket scientists thought of that, but they did.
It's unfortunate and it's sad that things are going the way they are. I think he at one point was trying to get a Senate seat or became a congressman. Good luck with that. If you can't take care of Newark, how is he going to take care of things as a congressman or a senator? I think there are more effective ways that he could utilize his time taking care of the disabled and the elderly, and see if he can get with the right kind of police director or police chief to squall down a lot of these drug dealers and using kids to sell the drugs.
Well, we don't have a police force anymore, so that's part of the problem.
That is part of the problem.
We don't have a police force.
We got to figure out a viable solution in order to correct that problem, or else we're going to keep losing our kids and losing our parents, and find out what's going on with welfare and the rest of those things that try to help out the communities in Newark. Somewhere there's a breakdown, and they need to get more people out here to find out what's going on and why these people on these various programs are not really using them to the best of their ability.
And because maybe some of those programs don't work, and we have to think of some more solutions. So what else has been going on?
Well, for me personally, I've been doing a lot of stuff with the veterans.
Okay.
And you know, getting them to get a lot of the things that they weren't aware that they were entitled to. And I've done that for 2 or 3 people already, and it's pretty cool. Some I've taken up to the Bronx and put them in the system, and then they can utilize the East Orange facility because they already have the ID card and they can move on. See, East Orange told me I wasn't entitled to anything.
Why? What, the veterans?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I have no idea. And it was so sad because I started volunteering for a lot of studies up at Kessler, and then the VA out of Kessler. So some of that testing required me to go up to the Bronx VA. That was their main branch at the time. So I started going up to the Bronx VA to volunteer for their studies and do that rewalk and a lot of other things I want to show you at a later date. They strapped these electrical devices to my legs. It would stand me up and then walk me with 2 canes. But for me, I didn't have enough stomach muscles in order to be able to control it the right way. So it really didn't work out for me. But a lot of other people, it definitely worked out for, like this one gentleman that I was up there doing it with. He was doing quite well with it. And I wish him a lot of luck. And there's a lot of people that could be able to utilize something like that. But the cost is still up there. So it's not really open to the public yet.
Okay, so how can people get in touch with you? Because, you know, you know how to, you've learned
how to shake and move things.
Yes, you know how to go through that system. Yeah. So how can, give us your number so people can get in touch with you.
My name is William Elmore. My number is 973-494-1388. That's 494-1388. And they can call me if they're having issues, concerns, or problems in the city of Newark. Then or Essex County, really, I'm willing to help them, walk them through the process and help them achieve all the goals that they set for themselves. And that's the thing. A lot of people aren't really aware of all the things that they're entitled to, being military or civilian, and how the agencies are supposed to run and treat them for whatever it is that they have deficiency in.
Yeah, and we have a lot of veterans, and especially since this last thing that we had going on, this last mess that we're in, and they're coming back, and a lot of them are suffering from what's that
PTSD. Yeah.
Part of traumatic
stress
disorder.
Yeah.
And
that's all right.
And you know, and a lot of suicide. We've had a lot of
I've been hearing
the highest they said we had one of the highest suicide rates with them now.
In Newark?
When they're coming, when they're coming back as a whole, general.
Well, I can't say that I experienced it. I did 2 tours overseas, a year in Korea and 2 years in Germany. But being away from the family and seeing a lot of people pass and everything like that really takes a toll on a person. When you lose good friends to.
Sometimes you're sitting like right next to them or standing right next to them.
And then you come home and the adjustment is really crazy.
People don't understand that sometimes. But on that note, we're going to take a break and get a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Okay. Hey, better watch Kim Corner. Don't you touch that dial.
And welcome back. And I'm here with Mr. William Elmore. As you know, he is an advocate for the elderly and the disabled. And I see you have something, volunteer networks for veterans. And it says, our goal is to assist the veterans and the disabled in need and to ensure that they get all the benefits that they are entitled to. We empower individuals to fight for themselves in order to improve upon their quality of life.
That's right. That's my primary motto. And some people, politicians, use that word so frivolously when they say quality of life. But what their perception of quality of life is not the same as the people who are actually in those situations. Like you have a lot of people who are at a disadvantage, and he says he's helping. Who is he helping? You know, because the city of Newark is still struggling. You got so many families that are struggling. Subsequently, the son, daughter, whoever goes out, does their thing, and they give mom a couple dollars, you know, to make her ends meet. You think they're going to tell that 13, 14-year-old child not to go out there? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that we need to look at and see why the system doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. And you know, there's a lot of other things like we can do with the Board of Education. They're doing a great job, but I still think it can be a lot better. Because all the public schools, we've gone to charter schools, and if we see that charter schools are doing so much better than the public schools, then there's a breakdown. So we need to get with the Board of Education and find out what it is.
Well, we already know that thing about the state and how it didn't work. That's a dysfunction now.
Right.
So, you know, I've just had about 2 shows where we discussed the dysfunctionality of the state running our schools.
Okay. So you can see what different entities are recognizing the problem, but somehow it's still not getting resolved.
No, because you got the wrong people running it.
Exactly.
And until that change comes, then it won't change.
Okay. But if so many other people, including myself, realize this and see this, at some point, they're going to have to say, hey, maybe there is a problem. Maybe we need to take a more involved, a more in-depth look at how our schools are being run and the caliber of teachers who are actually teaching the students. Somehow there's a breakdown there, but statistically, I couldn't tell you.
But a lot of it is too, you know, you can't blame it on the teachers because the parents and learning comes from home too.
Yeah, because
it comes from home.
I was good at whatever my teachers taught, and I wasn't brought up to par. They'd send a note home to my mother or call my mother.
Well, they do now, but you have babies having babies, and it's a whole breakdown of parenting too. But I want to know what's you explain to me more about the volunteer networks for veterans.
Well, what we do is a lot of veterans aren't aware of all of the things that they're entitled to. Like myself, East Orange told me that I wasn't entitled to anything, but yet I started volunteering for a lot of studies out of Kessler and out of Bronx, VA, and this colonel said, "So what kind of benefits are you receiving from East Orange VA?" I said, "I'm not receiving anything." They told me I wasn't entitled to nothing. I said, "Wait a minute, you were in the military for almost 23 years, got a 20-year letter, but you're not entitled to anything?" Well, I went up to the Bronx VA again and I applied for everything. I could get everything short of money. Couldn't get the finances. But anything I needed, they gave me this wheelchair, which is yellow and black, the Army colors. They helped me get a van. Christ of Town and Country. It is an amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've been in his van. It is.
All right.
It is.
And,
state of the art.
Oh yeah. Gave me a lot of things that they said initially I wasn't entitled to. And these are some of the things I pass on to a lot of other soldiers to encourage them to come out the house instead of looking out the window at life passing them by.
Now, is it a group of you, or are you just doing this by yourself?
There are two others, Brenda Jenkins and James Gibbs, and we've been working with different mayors, and we're going to come to Newark with a proposal to our mayor. But I'm also, right now, we're working with Mayor Smith in Irvington. They have a veterans building. I don't know if you've been up Springfield Avenue and have seen it. Across from the post office by City Hall. Okay. Now, this building hasn't been in existence for maybe 40, 50 years. But yet, there's no ramp. It's all step. So, what veterans is this house for? Only those who can walk.
Okay.
All right. Now I've asked Mayor Smith since '09 to help make the necessary changes to get this veterans building set up for the disabled. And as of yet, nothing.
Nothing.
So it's really sad how these cities, these politicians, they only work with and for the people who can stand up and vote. Those in a wheelchair or with a stroller or whatever.
Yeah, and that's another thing about voting, where different people vote. How accessible are the polls, the voting polls, for the disabled?
Well, they recently made a change here this last voting time, 4 years ago, where they made the school accessible from another gate, where previously it wasn't, and I couldn't get to vote. I had to vote absentee, which doesn't count unless there's a runoff, to my knowledge. But it's really starting to come about where they're recognizing the problem, and they're starting
to count those ballots as opposed to.
Boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah. As opposed to who's watching the watcher. Who's watching the watcher.
Well, there's a lot of things to this that people aren't aware of. But, I mean, it would take real investigators to really look at these things a little bit more carefully and see what is and isn't working for that voting thing. But our primary goal at this point, what I'm focusing on, is dealing with the disabled and elderly. Like my sign says, we fight for those who can't fight for themselves. We also empower the individuals to speak up for themselves and no longer look out the window at life passing them by. And once we establish that, oh man, you'd be amazed at all the things and how people feel about themselves. I had one gentleman, his mother chased me down a few years ago to say she had seen me on TV a few times and that her son is paralyzed and he wasn't feeling very good about himself. He was going to do something stupid. So I come over to the house, talked to him, got him out, showed him how to do things for himself. And right now he's thriving. He's doing a lot of other stuff from his wheelchair he didn't think he'd be able to do as well as he is now.
And that's good, and that's why I like to do these segments with you, because sometimes people see him and they'll give them hope and inspiration. Give us your number again, so.
Okay, my name is William Elmore. My number is 973-494-1388.
Okay, and your new network that you have now, you're working with your new group.
Yes.
We'll come back maybe next month or something and talk to you and see what's going on and how you guys are progressing and see what kind of help you need.
All right, because they have an organization in Newark in the basement.
Well, yeah, we already talked about that, but we talked about the dysfunction of that too. We know that's dysfunctional too already. So, but I'm glad that it is somebody out there like you fighting for people, and it's always a pleasure, Mr. Elmore.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you. Thank you for sponsoring Kim's Corner, and you too could be a sponsor at Kim's Corner. Call 862-579-9517 or email me at kimscornertv18@aol.com. kimscorner.com. You can advertise, become a sponsor, or subscriber.
Kim's Corner would like to thank everyone who came out for the Relay for Life event. It was a successful event, and hopefully next year it will be a greater success. Thanks again for everyone who came out and participated.
My name is Melina Moniz, and we are Mission 316 Gospel Group. And I just want to say thank you so much for inviting us
to the American Cancer Society Relay Race.
Yes, we are so excited to be here to praise the Lord with you.
Yes.
Come on, clap your hands, come on. Woo! We wrote this song, and this song is called New Day. Come on. It's gonna be a new day.
Yesterday is over. It's gonna be a new day.
Alright. I've been thinking about how I'm struggling hard times with myself, taking day by day. Maybe sometimes in sorrow, even in dark days, sun shines tomorrow. I got it love, taken from heaven above. I got to believe. Oh yeah, taken from heaven above. It's gonna be a new.
It's gonna be a new day. And yesterday is over. It's gonna be a new day.
Come on. Our God will fill your cup, and He will take your pain. I have the victory. God is for me. I know He'll be there when I'm crying. I know God is for me. God is the key. God is love, strength from heaven above. I got to believe. Oh yeah,
Strength from heaven above.
it's gonna be a new.
It's gonna be a new day. And yesterday is over. It's gonna be a new day. And yesterday is over. It's gonna be a new day.
Come on, hey.
It's gonna be a new day.